Hello everyone, this is Greg, aka Gregoire from Greg's Whiskey Guide. Thank you for coming back, or thank you for being a new subscriber, I appreciate. Today's theme was inspired by a tweet posted by Johan McInnes from Whiskey Lassie blog, which is also freelance writer, consultant, and columnist for different other publications. She's here for a while and she knows well about whiskey, and she did a poll on Twitter to ask basically to people in a kind of provocative way, peat or sherry? Do you prefer peat or sherry in your whiskey? And I answered, why choose? So it gave me an idea to do this video because 2019, like I said in my top 10 whiskies of the year, was between other things the confirmation that I really love peat and sherry. So when the peat is well combined with the sherry, not necessarily we will see that by the way 100% sherry casks involved in the maturation. It can be very well it can be nice with the 40%, 50%, 60% sherry in the mix of casks, as we're gonna see. So yeah, give me idea to do two parts review, let's say. Like, you know, I like to do that. A single review, I probably gonna do that, but I cannot help myself to compare or to put in perspective things. If you want a very short videos, you have a lot of other channels. You have a lot of websites, etc. You can do 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes and have an idea. However, I will put in the description some counts to tell you when I will be started in this video the tasting about this BENROMACH over there, and then the put in perspective part of the video as well. I will give you the two timings, so some of you might be less frustrated about that, as I do no editing. So yeah, when I did the top 10 videos of whiskies of the year 2019, I hadn't received yet. I've tasted it in a show to time, but I haven't received yet the bottle I was looking for that was awarded by me, and there it is. So it is the BENROMACH batch 1 2008 vintage, bottled at 57.9, and I heard there were 5,500 bottles of it, and basically it's first fill bourbon and first fill sherry, and I would say medium to heavily peated. Here's the bottle, and here's the new box, which is not in two parts but a standard cardboard box. Okay. Interestingly, there is nothing new with the brand. It doesn't state on the back label either if it's chill filtered or colored, caramel colored. So I will state, knowing a bit, discussing a bit with the distillery, I don't think, but it's not an information, it's guessing. Okay, I don't think there's caramel color in this one, but they might be, and I'm kind of supposing, we will see that maybe, that there is a chill filtration in this one, but that doesn't mean it's bad, once again. So I will try this new bottle with you. I tried it already once. It's still in the beginning, even for the other bottle I will compare it with, so it's not necessarily sure tasting notes and something really super confirmed. I mean, I have my own notes already for the first tasting with my particular chart, very precise and complicated. I will do, by the way, I'll give you a spoiler. I will experiment a new resumed summarized tasting chart very soon for my future blind tasting that was delayed, that had to be delayed in 2019. Next month we're going to do a cross-blind tasting with new drum drinker and spirits people, so stay tuned for that. And I will experiment a new tasting sheet I made for a new drum drinker. So I will probably do the same as them to assess the whiskies, so we'll be all in equal kind of way of tasting. Except me, I'm French and I have to think in English, which is not always obvious, so apologies if I might rely a bit on my paper notes at some times of the video. Okay, so I'm gonna compare it then to the 100 proof BENROMACH, which is also a mix of bourbon and sherry casks, but probably not first fill. So I poured these two previously, and we're going to do that, and then after that I'm going to give you some alternatives and different choices on 2 or 3 different levels of intensity of peat and sherry for those who like the combination of the two. Okay, so let's start now with the tasting. So I have, as you can see, it's clear amber, it's rather golden robe for this. So I'm trying again this 2019 first batch of 2018 distilled BENROMACH Speyside, Northern Speyside distillery, and it is bottled at 57.9. So on the nose, cheers. Yeah, that's interesting. We got some. This is very melted. This is what I like in the BENROMACH style, that we already have on the 10 years old, the regular bottle at 43 years old, which is for me one of the best 10 years old in the market, will be probably your best affordable bang for your buck, 40 to 50 euros and sometimes 30 in supermarkets euros option if you want to try sherry and peat, by the way, and not spend a lot of money. So yeah, there's this bonfire thing, there's some gentle smoke. It's not aggressive on the nose. There's some ripe fruit. There's some a bit over infused black tea. There's some hints of orange. There's something herbal, as often in BENROMACH, but it's not overpowering. I get some spices, maybe a tiny black pepper note. Yeah, beautiful nose, honestly. It wasn't my top 10, not necessarily on a rating point of view, but on a value for money point of view and pleasure. Okay, very nice nose. I'm gonna check out if I forgot some additional nose. Yeah, the famous burnt rubber note, which I'm not really crazy about. I don't, and I found it in the earlier batches of the 10, the regular 10. I don't find them here, and I'm happy with that. Maybe some slight burn wood, but that's all. Now on the nose without water, we have to try it with water as well to see how it develops, how it reacts. Okay, cheers everyone. It's my first whiskey of the day. I made sure I took some water before, which I advise you to open a bit your taste buds for the aggression of alcohol. But it is still alcohol, guys. It's our favorite drink, but it's still alcohol. So the burn is there will be a slight burn at 57.9, but the burn will be less important if you took a bit of water before tasting any whiskey. So yeah, on the palate it's quite the same balance and melted flavors between the peat, the sherry, which is gentle. We have some ginger background, black pepper, so we see there's some bourbon influence in there. But it's a very nice combination, I think, between the bourbon and the sherry. And it seems to be like a beautiful balance with the peat. So that's the point. There we have continental peat. It's not Islay peat, but it's more dry. It's a bit more ashy, but it's still satisfying, lingering on the palate. Yeah, and what I like is when you let it open up, and I think when I will be going further in the exploration of the bottle, I'm gonna see more of that very seductive floral notes, a bit heady flowery notes that I like in BENROMACH. Some hint of violet, maybe a hint of lavender in the background, but basically for me it's lilac and lavender ahead. But very gentle, nothing aggressive, nothing like some old Beaumours that some people don't like. So it's very sweet, very balanced. Okay, now I'm gonna try without water the 100 proof, which is a bit different mix of casks. More refill cask, I guess, and 57 ABV. So a bit less, but still comparable, I thought, because 57.9. By the way, it's a 10 years old, and the new one is not stated, but is around 10 to 11 years old. So I think comparison is relevant here. Okay. So this is the 10 years old 100 proof. Yeah, this is my new t-shirt. I made it, by the way, it's my visit to Elixir Distillery, and I was in the warehouse. This one of the only casks that were in fact really filled with whiskey, because it's more demonstration warehouse. And I tasted this yesterday. Awesome first fill sherry, 18 years old cask. Okay, I'm digressing, sorry. So this is the new one, the new 2008 vintage, and this is the 10 years old. So you see it's very close, and it's a matter of lighting maybe. You see it's a very close, the one to the other. Yeah, this one shows less peat, but also less influence of the sherry, obviously. On the nose, it's more melted, so I have to look at my notes. Yeah, it's still a bit closed. And for me, yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot the dark chocolate. That's more obvious here. Dark chocolate, malted barley, some kind of smoke that's close to the bonfire thing. Ashy smoke. More tight oak, probably a bit more than in the 2008. Yeah. The seductive part of it is less on the background, and for me the important thing with that one is to put some water in it to open it up, and to let the flowery notes, flowers and dark fruits, ripe fruits come a bit more ahead. And also there's all kinds of dried fruit in both of them, of the three. So sultanas, maybe some figs, some dates, and some different kinds of you know, dried fruit apricots and stuff. Okay, on the palate now without water. Okay, nice. For now I prefer the 2008, but this is not far. It's a bit more spicy. I think there's more ginger impact and slightly chili pepper, which I for me coming from the bourbon casks. While we have this dried fruit, ripe fruit stuff, and maybe some floral notes on the background, this is less obviously sherried and less obviously fruity than the 2008, which was really lovely. And also, I have to say, I'm not 100% sure it's the same recipe of compared to the regular 10, but it feels a bit more aggressive than the regular 10 and less rounded on the edges. I mean, a bit more rough. And I don't think it's only the ABV, it's probably the recipe. This could be, have no information about that, slightly different, or maybe it's a question of batches. But these two, I've been buying them at almost 1 year difference a few years ago. Okay, now we're gonna try the 2008. But with a bit of water, with my personal dropper, personalized. This one is opaque and bigger. When I go outside for tasting, I'm taking a transparent one, which I think it's better. So I'm gonna put some water in the two malt mates, in the 2008 as well as in the 100 proof, and see what's going on there. Okay. Yeah, more dark chocolate again, more black tea, but there's also some Earl Grey tea coming in with a hint of orange and your orange slices. You know what's pleasant with BENROMACH is when you have a piece of chocolate, dark chocolate with filled with orange. It's very reminiscent of this. And at the same time, if you enjoy having it together, I think it's a beautiful pairing you can do with a chocolate cake, also that has some slices of dried orange. Just saying. I like to open up the perspectives with some also food pairings when I can. I shall do a specific one probably. Yeah, so this one is opening up, and yeah, the estery thing shows there for me, and this comes from the first fill bourbon in my opinion. And also I read some comments that were talking about too much sulfury thing on the nose and less on the palate. I get this truck matches the hint of sulfur, but as in some other distilleries that are using a lot sherry cask, this is not unusual, as long as it's not overpowering, which could show distillation that's not perfectly cut. I think it's bearable, and for me it's even adding a bit to the charm of these expressions, as people like me are used to more sulfur in some earlier sherried whiskey of the 90s, 80s. But it was not only this thing, it was only a more noble kind of sherry, if I may say. So all this is a combination which is complex, and yeah, I got this, even with a bit of water, but it's not shocking me. It's not, It will depend. If you're very sensitive to sulfur, you may not like this expression. If you tolerate it in some Ben-Nevises as well, you will like it, I think. Okay, now on the palate. Cheers. Or Slanjava. All that dark chocolate, that black tea, raisins, and apricots, and everything is melted, and just showed a short appearance, and then get back into the ensemble of flavors, and I like that. The sherry is marrying very well with the peat. It's a beautiful balance. That's why I think I awarded, and it is just a confirmation I have here. Let me try another one. Yeah, so the slight bitterness at the very end, but I like the fact it's an open profile. It's some suppleness in it. The herbal side, a bit aggressive I had at the first tasting, is gone now. And I guess it's gonna evolve a bit, so I'm not giving you a definitive scoring there. I will publish the notes within the written version of my top 10 whiskies of 2019, and maybe correct the rating, which was 93 out of 100. But honestly, I don't see much things to modify at this point of my previous notes. Yeah, so it's a confirmation of very good quality, and that I was right to put it in my top 10 top whiskies of 2019. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to quickly to the 100 proof, and then on the part 2 within this one, sorry guys, it's gonna be long again, give you a few tips about other ways of enjoying peat with sherry in other whiskies. Okay, it opens up a bit but stays on the half bourbon, half sherry size, and drier option than this one. It's a drier oak here. Yeah, the shows on the nose, the spices are stronger, the ginger, maybe some black pepper, and a hint of chili pepper as well. Yeah, the oak is obvious. More obvious than in the reduced expression, and more obvious than in the 2008. So for me it's less interesting here, as it's very tight, very strong, a bit warming on the palate, even with water. Maybe I should add more. Yeah, so I give you here my first impressions of the comparison between the two. I'm gonna see how those two evolves in time. But yeah, it's a pleasant whiskey, but it's less impressive than the 2008, definitively. Okay, this is up for this first part. And if you want to know a bit some tips about other kind of marrying sherry with peat, I'm gonna give you some examples now, as shortly as I can. I see the timing. Of course, in history you have absolutely stunning examples of this marriage. I'm not gonna show you the bottles because I don't have them. I will be very happy, but for instance, you can see some of these, I guess, in Malt Reviews Whiskey channel. You can check out reviews on whiskyfun.com, and also of course you can go on my website gregswhiskyguide.com and see my top 70 whiskies of all time. And you're gonna find these. So very quickly, Lefroy 1974 for La Maison du Whisky, was an absolutely stunning whiskies. I tried one of my best ever. Tried combining sherry and peat. Forget it. It's 3,000 euros and stuff. So it just tips to tell you that in time there were some stunning whiskies, not necessarily very old times before. For instance, if you look at Lagavulin, in 2016 people forgot there were two expressions to celebrate the 2000 years. Okay, there were the Lagavulin 8, beautiful one, I love it. But there was also more high-end customers. There was also the sherried expression of Lagavulin 25 years old, cask strength. Previously, there were a few years ago more bourbon-driven Lagavulin 25, which was also on my top whiskies ever tried. But this one, for me, topped it off with more sherry influence. So yeah, Lagavulin 25, 2000 anniversary edition. Of course, I could talk to you about Port Ellen for those who are in matured in sherry casks. Maybe later on this year I will talk to you about that. Bowmore 64, Black Bowmore. It's a lesson in whiskey maturing and pairing sherry, the best sherry ever, with the smoke, the peat smoke. Another beautiful example I had the chance to try for my 10th Whiskey Life Paris. I think it was 2004 or 5, 2004. It's a Talisker 1955, bottled at 28 years old, I think, by Gordon MacPhail in the cask strength reserve collection. It's heavily sherried and heavily peated, but it's a beautiful balance. Probably my most beautiful Talisker ever have tried. You have the review and the picture on my website. If you go to the events section, Whiskey Life Paris report. Okay, now let me give you some examples of things us mortal can touch. Last year I was in Glenmoray Distillery and I tried this. Sorry to speak to you again about this, but it's a cracker. It's a stunner. These Glenmoray 2010, only 8 years old, cask strength at 55.8. It's a peated PX, Pedro Jimenez sherry finish casks, the richer kind of sherry. And it's a sherry bomb, it's a peat bomb, and it's a bomb. I think you can still find it's a crazy. They made a lot of this, not so much, but I think you can still find at the distillery. Another heavily influenced by Pedro Jimenez and by the peat as well is something I will open probably this year. It was a beautiful birthday gift, I have to say, because it's so expensive now. It's this AR7 Elements of Islay from Elixir Distillers, and it's just an ARDBEG, if I'm not mistaken, 17 years old, bottled at 56.3. I also tasted the AR9, which is almost the same profile, maybe a bit better. I couldn't do a comparison. I tasted it at a good friend's house. But if you can get your hands of this one, you won't regret it. It's pure chocolate sherry with sexy smoke, and I cannot give you enough of things about that. Also, sorry for now, it's only a sample. Another whiskey that I could have put in my 2019 list, but I don't remember, it was 2018 or 18 bottling, so withdraw it. But it's a stunning whiskey. Once again, Elements of Islay, the Chronicles for La Maison du Whisky, same bottle as this one, and only a bit lighter color, I think, or it's almost the same. Yeah, a bit lighter color. So in the elements of Islay, peat and sherry series, cask strength as well. Beautiful stuff. I will keep this to try it along with the elements of Islay 2020 just now that I've ordered at Whiskey Exchange. I was too excited about this one. I hope it's as good as this, but I will compare those ones and review them. Okay, now of course, if we talk about sherry and peat, okay, this one is from 2015. Don't want to mistake on my information. Yeah, distilled 1997, bottle 2015 at 52.3, 100% sherry, fresh and refilled sherry butts and hogsheads. Stunning whiskey. Still have to develop to open up. I've tasted this twice at other people's house. It was better than now. It's not completely open yet, but it's a stunning example. Okay, this is 2015, and if you can't find it, I give you two other options. And sorry guys, it's the older packaging, but the content is really close, as I've been told. 15 years old. It's the most sherry driven of the core range. I think it's 100%, or yeah, sherry cask refill and maybe some first fill. The 15 years old, the current core range is really recommended if you like both. It's compared to the 10, it's a bit tighter, a bit tighter oak, but it has something extra, some elegance, some noble feel of the oak, of the aging, and 5 years really show there's a difference. Then we have, of course, the yearly star from Springbank, the cask strength expression. That's varying from year to year in the proportion of bourbon and sherry cask, and refill and first fill as well. So I haven't tried the 2019 expression. This one is a bit older, but I'm almost never disappointed when I try a yearly expression, and this for years and years. So really recommend. If you want to go to not heavily peated, not heavily sherried, but subsequently option and less than 100 euros, something very nice, also a genuine distillery, artisan distillery, go for Kilchoman Loch Gorm. It's their expression that's the most sherry driven. 46%, no chill filtration, no caramel. Really recommend it. If you want to go into something that's still a bit expensive, but nicely influenced by sherry, but more moderate, okay, more moderate. Controversial bottling, but me, I liked it. Valkyrie from Highland Park. It's a n.a.s whiskey. Okay, it's not colored, but it's chill filtered. 45.9. It's very delicate. Delicate peat, delicate smoke, delicate ripe fruit, delicate sherry, very subtle, gentle whiskey, a nice aperitif or digestive. Then you have, of course, but the prices now is a bit insane. When I bought this, it was under 80 euros, but now there's twice almost. Highland Park 18 still remains a good value for me, but a bit too expensive to put it on the front choices you should make. If you can get an older batch like this one, or even older, I have some, but we don't have much time now. I will speak again about Highland Park, don't worry. You can choose this. Now, if you're on a budget for something less than 60 euros and you go to some supermarket to find out, or old shelves from your local shop, you might still find this more darkest. Some hate it, some love it, I love it. Of course, there's some batch variations, but still it's one of the most delicate and nice not entry level, but I mean for the beginner, I think it's a beautiful expression. The beginner in peat and beginner in sherry. it's a beautiful expression to start with from Bowmore. If you have a bit more money and you're looking really now for something not consensual but more easy sipping and maybe more less demanding and for more wider audience, you can go for the Talisker Distillers edition, around 10-11 years old, 45.8 ABV as often. The price of this one, I'm not sure now. It has also increased a bit. It's Oloroso sherry. It's not Oloroso. By the way, yeah, sorry guys. Almost all the ones I talked about, except the ARDBEG and the Glenmorangie, were Oloroso sherry. So this one is a bit different. It's a sweet kind of sherry. On the same owner and same kind of profile, but of course it's not the same distiller. Lagavulin Distillers Edition. Now the label is more bluish or greenish, turquoise, let's say. It's an old bottling, and sorry guys, it's one of the best for me when it had a lot more character than nowadays Distillers Edition of the Lagavulin. I still have some, I have to put it in there. It's absolutely stunning. Pedro Jimenez sherry finished Lagavulin. Try before you buy, honestly, for these ones, because it has been so much sweetened over the years that the peat is less important in these ones, and I don't think it's as good as before. But then again, I gave you about more than 10 examples of what you can try if you love to combine peat and sherry. So thanks for watching. I hope it was interesting, or at least give you some ideas about the combination of those two. There's also other options. I haven't tried BENROMACH, for instance, that was both marked by the sherry and the peat at the same time. I have another example I may talk about, because I want now to do a special port finish video, probably because I like port finishes. Also maybe I will do sometime a Madeira one, Madeira finish, one of my favorite, very favorite. Thanks for watching. Hope you're well, and wish you again a Happy New Year 2020, and more than anything, and I know it's how important it is, good health for everyone, and some nice drams responsibly drinked. Thank you very much. Bye bye.